Hi everyone, hope you're having a good day so far. Before we get started, make sure that you completed yesterday's Delta Math assignment and you also went underneath your assignments where you submit and write the word done. So make sure that you did that yesterday, and if you didn't, be sure to do it now. Also, don't forget the optional IXL assignment is due on Friday if you choose to do it. And today we're going to take and finish up the Unit 14 packet. So if you open up to page 27, question number 7, we're going to get started on that. Now, on page 27, number 7, we're going to be doing a review of solving algebraically. And in this question, it's specifically saying to solve algebraically for x only, meaning once we solve for x, we're done. We do not have to plug in and solve for y. The question's also asking you to explain why you chose the method to solve this quadratic equation, keeping in mind when they ask you to explain, you will have to take and write a sentence at the end of the problem. Now this question is asking you to solve when g of x is equal to 2k of x. Now, so far we've done g of x equals k of x, meaning you set them equal to each other. When, though, you have the 2 in the front, that means to take g of x, which is 2x squared plus 3x plus 10, and instead of just setting it equal to k of x, the 2 in the front means to multiply k of x by 2. So in order to multiply it by 2, be sure to use parentheses. So it'll be 2 parentheses 2x plus 16. Once you take and you have that down, now you're going to take and distribute. So you get 2x squared plus 3x plus 10 equals 4x plus 32. Now, before we continue to solve this algebraically, I do want you to take and go back and get the solutions from your calculator first. So in y1, you're going to be typing in 2x squared plus 3x plus 10. And in y2, I would probably type in 4x plus 32. But if you decided instead that you wanted to type in 2 parentheses 2x plus 16, you will get the same answer for it. Then you're going to take and do second trace intersect twice. And even though the question says to the nearest tenth, meaning 1 decimal, you always want to take and write down a few decimal points first. So take your calculator and get the solutions first. Now, when you type this into your calculator and graphed it, you would have realized that you do not see the entire parabola. So it would probably have been a good idea to hit the zoom out button on your calculator before you decided to do second trace intersect. Now again, since the question does say to round to the nearest tenth, being 1 decimal place, you're going to go out 1 decimal. The 7 is going to take and round up the 5. So you're going to have 3.6, comma, 46.3. And for my other coordinate, the 7 is going to round the 0 to a 1. So negative 3.1, comma, the 9 is going to round up the 6. So 19.7. So those would be the two solutions that you should be getting from your calculator. So when you're done, if you don't get those solutions, obviously you made a mistake, so go back to check it. Now to continue solving this algebraically, since you have an x squared here, that means you are going to want to set the equation equal to 0. So minus 4x, you get 2x squared minus 1x plus 10 equals 32, minus 32, minus 32. So 2x squared minus 1x minus 22 equals 0. Now, since the question is telling you to solve it to the nearest tenth, That's a hint that this is not going to be able to be factored. So you're going to want to use the quadratic formula. So a equals 2, b equals -1, and c equals -22. The quadratic formula is x equals -b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. So when you plug in the numbers, the opposite of b, or -b, means take the opposite of b. So in this case, it'll be a +1 plus or minus the square root. Don't forget to use parentheses around the -1 minus 4 times 2 times -22 all over 2 times 2. Now you're going to be typing in just what's underneath the radical sign, giving you x equals 1 plus or minus radical 177 over 4. You type it into your calculator using the fraction button, and you get x equals 3.576 and x equals -3.076. And since the directions do say to the nearest tenth, be sure to round at the end, where you get x equals 3.6 and x equals -3.1. In this case, again, you do not need to find the y value since the question is specifically asking you for x. Now, in this question, it does, again, tell you to explain or write a sentence why you chose that method. In this case, since I did run out of room, you should have on your paper that you chose to use the quadratic formula since the equation was not factorable. That would give you full credit for your sentence. Take and go on to question number 8 on the bottom of the page. Question number 8, again, is asking you to solve algebraically when g equals 2 k of x. G of x and k of x are different numbers from number 7, but you're still going to be doing it the same way. They want you to solve for x to the nearest tenth, and they want a sentence as well. So the same as before, you're going to get your solutions from the calculator first. Do not forget about the 2 in front of the k of x, and write down your solutions to start. Then you're going to take and solve this algebraically. Pause the video now and try this one on your own. So the first thing you should have done is gone to your calculator and type in y1 equals and y2 equals. Now for y2 equals, you could have either typed in 2 parentheses x plus 3 or 2x plus 6. Second, trace intersect. And again, make sure you write out a few decimal places before you take and round your answer to the nearest tenth. Now that you know what your solutions should be for x, we're going to be doing this algebraically. Remember to take and multiply the k of x by 2. So you're going to distribute the 2 first. Since you have an x squared, that means to set the equation equal to 0 by subtracting 2x from both sides, and then you would want to take and subtract the x. Once you do that, you get 2x squared minus 2x minus 11 equals 0. That's not factorable, so you're going to be using the quadratic formula. Plug the numbers into the quadratic formula, and underneath the radical, you should get a number of radical 92. Again, when you type it in your calculator, write out a few decimal places first, and then you're going to take and round it to the nearest tenth. You do not need to find the y. The question is only asking you for your x value. Now, for full credit, you must do this algebraically, but worst case, if you forget how to do it, and you decide to take and write down all of these calculator steps instead, you will still get partial credit. Also, don't forget, you do have to write a sentence So my sentence would be, since 2x squared minus 2x minus 11 equals 0 was not factorable, I used the quadratic formula to solve for x. Tonight for homework, you will be working on the review sheet, numbers 1 through 17 odds. Tomorrow night, the evens will be for homework in case you wanted to get a head start. You do not need to print out the review sheet. You can answer the questions on a separate piece of paper or on graph paper. If you do choose to print out the review sheet, that is your choice. And if you want to save paper, you could try to print it double-sided. Again, if you do not have a working printer, it's completely fine. Just open the document that is posted on the Edmodo page and read the questions from the computer and write the answers on a separate piece of paper or on graph paper. Do not forget the optional 1-hour IXL assignment is due this Friday. Have a terrific Tuesday. I will talk to you guys tomorrow. Bye.